There's a potential. Welcome everybody to Coffee Chat. I'm your guest host on Walmsley, and today our topic is restorative justice. And to help us sort of unwrap what restorative justice is and what it does are the two gentlemen who are sitting with me on my right. Loren Huck, who's been a longtime community member. He worked for a long time with our Neepawa Gladstone Co-op, and since retirement, very active in the community. And the other gentleman on the other side is Mark Morehouse, someone who many of you will remember as a member of our local RCMP detachment for quite a while, and its sergeant, serves as sergeant for quite a while. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Don.
So I have three questions. The first, and I'll just say them now and it'll unfold from there. The first is, what is restorative justice? The second is, how does the process work? And then the third one is its impact and presence here in Neepawa. So who would like to start with what is restorative justice?
Loren's our chair, so he can go from there.
The chair.
The chair, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I just made some notes down here, so
Yeah.
I'll just very quickly go through them.
Sure.
And it'll give our community a good idea of what restorative justice is. It's a committee that's formed to deal with alternative measures and go forward from there. We are to provide a forum for education, disposition, and reconciliation of offender within a community context, and to provide the community with information and education concerning crime and crime prevention. The rationale in behind all this: every citizen has rights and responsibilities within the community. The offender is part of the community and, in a sense, its product. The offender has a responsibility to obey the laws of a community and to contribute to the community's well-being. The community has a part in all this as well in response to offenses committed in its midst and in ensuring some kind of order. By committing an offense, the offender causes harm to the community and jeopardizes his or her membership in the community. And in order to restore and or foster the sense of community, the needs, rights, and responsibilities of both victim and the offender should be considered. And to achieve all of this, a group of citizens, such as Mark and myself and a number of other individuals, work to provide a community-based alternative to the judicial model. This alternative method will attempt to enhance the community potential by developing responsibility and accountability. So with that, we are empowered by the Justice Department of Manitoba and funded through the Department of Justice of Manitoba as well, with some specific aims and objectives. So we are to consider any case referred to the court by the Crown Attorney, Community and Youth Correctional Services, or RCMP, as an alternative measure to the formal court method. To develop a range of consequences for offenders which will reflect the community's concern for the offender's reformation and restitution to the victim, and to impress upon the offender the need to accept responsibility for his or her behavior. To honor the rights and needs of victims, that's most important as well, by soliciting their concerns and views when appropriate. And to foster increased community awareness of crime and its effect through community, through public discussion and education, such as a program as this. And to increase community involvement in justice system. We offer sentencing alternatives to the court when requested, and to work in partnership with other persons participating in the justice system, such as RCMP, probation, Crown Attorney, Defense Counsel, or a judge. To become acquainted with the causes and problems related to criminal behavior, to reduce the frequency of re-involvement, and to reduce the number of persons appearing in court. And also, not to lose sight, to recognize the cultural or social dimension of the offender and to seek minister to that need and with sensitivity to the individual in his or her situation. So that's quite a mouthful. It's a very broad mandate that we have, but we see the justice alternative being quite integral within the community and forming a healing basis for community between victims and offenders.
Wow, you're right. It is quite when you start sort of drilling down and peeling off some of the layers. So to summarize, you deal with both youth and adult. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it's a community-based. A committee is formed from community members, and you've developed sort of perhaps alternatives to the justice system, and the courts refer individuals. You just don't go with a net and pick them up.
No, we don't.
So the court will say, we'll contact the committee and say, we have an offender we'd like you to consider. Now, with those sort of premises, are made up of community members. We're dealing with people who live within the community, I'm gathering, right? So, because does it affect just Neepawa, or is there a surrounding area?
Well, we pretty well work within the catchment area of the Spruce Plains detachment.
Ah, okay.
So
okay.
that
wow.
So that's anywhere from the Caterham turnoff
Yeah.
to Rapid City, to Kelwood, north of Kelwood, Glenella, Neepawa, Gladstone.
Okay, so that's quite an area, but that's good because those places need to have representation as well. Do you have members on your committee from any of those areas?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So walk me through the process. So as the court has, we'll maybe take two scenarios, one adult and one youth. So a youth is presented, come before you. What kind of information are you given beforehand?
We're given basically the information that the RCMP does up, like the information sheet of what happened, the charge that has been laid on them, and they have a court date that's set for them. So if it goes to the Justice Committee, and it's sometimes to come to us, it's recommended by the RCMP. That way, if they have somebody that they've already know who it is right away, and they recommend it to be come to the Justice Committee for hearings that way. So it's not going to tie up the courts.
Right.
I know, for instance, for one of the, I got to go back to court here on the 19th, and that's something that happened in 2019. So this here gets them before the courts, or before us, I should say, earlier, because the courts is so tied up, backlogged, and everything else, and we go from there to
so,
get the case.
And that's regardless of whether it's youth or adult. That's the
correct.
process, and I think that's wise, because you're right. We are hearing at length with regards to the type and the courts. Courts are taking a long time. We need more court personnel to be able to process. So I suspect, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the RCMP, when they make a referral, feel that there's an opportunity here that perhaps justice is better served in a different form, and this is the opportunity. Now, having said that, and you're seeing, how many cases would you see a year?
Well, it depends upon the activity within the year. So we might see 3 or 4 cases, or we could see, we could go months without a case. So it's very dependent upon how things flow through the community.
Okay. How? So part of the process is you've read it, and then what's the next step? So the person comes forward and it presents, and what happens then?
Essentially, once we agree to take the case,
so you have an option to to screen it to begin with, to say no or
we have refused cases based upon repeat offenders, so that they need to experience the full measure of the law, so to speak.
Understand? Okay.
Whereas first-timers come in front of us, and the beauty of restorative justice is that they come before us, they admit their guilt, they sign off on their guilt, accept the consequences, and as long as they live up to the requirements that we give them, they walk away with no criminal record. And that's
an opportunity
important
for first-time offenders. Now, who supervises to make sure they live up to what's agreed, whether that's community service or whatever the outcome may be?
We give them a time date on that. So we say 6 months or a year, and it's followed up through the John Howard Society. I guess it was the John Howard Society.
John Howard Society.
It follows up through them, and we follow up through with the RCMP as well. So we can see if they have been checking in and doing what they're supposed to be doing, and what we put down, if we put it locally that they have to do community service work, we can check on that as well to see that it's being done. And whoever they do the community service work through, we usually have a schedule set up so we can see when they're in and when they're working, and marking their hours down or whatever they have to do.
Excellent. So this is maybe an unfair question, but just a ballpark. How successful has this been for the numbers that have gone through? Because clearly logic says that some just won't be regardless. How are you feeling about it?
I feel, since I've been on it as a member of the RCMP and now, and that's been a few years, that I can see, I think, only 2 repeaters overall.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a pretty impressive
So it's
success.
really, yeah,
That's really excellent.
yeah. Not saying that it's going to stay that way.
No, but
it's been a real good
you've
program.
got some time. It's not like it's just been in place for 2 years.
No.
It's been, how long
No.
has it been around, by the way?
Oh, it's been around for a long time. I was just looking at our membership roster here the other day, and we have a member that's been active on the committee for over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
so I've been around for the better part of 21 years, and Mark came on in 2013, I think. But for the most part, it's been an active community working with the justice system within the area of Neepawa.
Does the committee, the same committee, deal with both youth offenders and adult offenders?
Yes, we do.
And
So-
before, it used to be just youth
Just youth.
at one time.
Ah.
And they opened it up a year ago.
Oh,
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Back, yeah.
They opened it up for adult as well, which is a good thing too, I think.
Yes.
I think it just helped to address the backlog situation
That's right.
that was occurring in the courts at the time.
Yeah.
So we work very, very closely with the John Howard Society and
It sounds like it.
and take a lot of direction from them in terms of developing consequences and mediation.
So tell me, just you talk about consequences. How do you just sort of explained how you help develop them, but what do the consequences look like? Some of them, I mean.
Oh, some of them, like for particularly first-time offenders, youth. We'd like to maybe get them to write a letter of apology to the victim, so they have to think about what they've done and get it down on black and white and paper and present it to us to present to the victim. That helps them to maybe look inwards and do some reflection as well as to what they had done. And then we can reinforce that with community service hours, or if there is a situation of vandalism we can potentially look at restitution, like covering the cost of repairs to vandalism issues, or those sorts of things that can be done. But I think probably where the healing really occurs is when the victims get involved in the process as well, and become involved at the court session and have an opportunity to address and talk to the offender, and that's where the healing and the correction really comes into play.
So there is an element of a court process here, where the offender has a chance to speak to the victim,
Or to the court.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually, like the victim, some victims like to sit in and explain how they felt about the whole thing that's happened. And sometimes I find that it hits home to the accused. It hits home to them, and especially when they see what they've done and who they've done it to.
Well, what intrigues me is your comment about how few repeat offenders you've seen just in the past few years, which speaks to the efficacy of the approach. You both gentlemen feel really strongly about how effective the approach is, and that's impressive.
Well, it's quite remarkable in the fact that we get these type of reinforcements come to us as committee from the John Howard Society, and how important restorative justice John Howard sees acting within the framework of the Manitoba judicial system, and the efficacy and the good works that it has done. So they very positively support it and promote it.
When you look at some of the dynamics, the John Howard Society is noted for, once offenders come in doing that kind of support, the ability to be able to engage before anything as serious as that happens is a really nice piece, and it works. And you've got a support there to help, as you said, guide and do that.
They can put us in touch with resources that we didn't know existed out there.
Right.
And that's
Very
important.
good. That's very important.
Yeah.
How many members would sit on your committee at any one time?
Well, presently I think we got about 11, 12.
Wow.
Our Constitution allows upwards of 20 members and a minimum of 8. But at any rate, we have an active body that has been in place, like I told you. We had one member with over 30 years of service. But we try to meet as regular as we can and do casework. Now we're going to try to meet a little more regularly and start maybe thinking a little more outside the box, proactively, progressively. What can we do within the community to increase awareness of alternative justice? What can we do within the framework of our educational system to maybe bring a student member on board with the committee? So we have that liaison, and take a look at whatever opportunities there are out there. So this is probably part and parcel of a brainstorming that we can do within session. And after that, if we have casework, bring that on.
That sounds like a very good plan. Committees that learn how to flex and adapt with time are usually committees that remain successful without losing their essential component or purpose. Because here you're looking at an alternate form of somebody rather than dealing with in the formal judicial system. And that's really what you're all about. Yeah. I think people need to be aware that this is a serious undertaking. This isn't just a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Right. I had an incident when I was stationed in Stonewall, and I told the committee this before. We had vandalism to the flowers up there. It was in the summertime. And they had cameras set up in town. So, of course, we got the perpetrators who did this. And one of their jobs was they had to look after the flowers for the rest of the season. So they had to make sure that they were replanted and watered and weeded and everything. And they had some friends that came up and was going to do some vandals to these flowers again. And they said, oh, no. You don't touch those flowers, So the town looked great. And these kids went on to be young adults. And I think helped the other ones out as well that wanted to do something that they shouldn't have been doing. So it really paid out or turned out really good for the town.
I guess especially when you think of youth, we've all done acts of indiscretion as we're younger. We'll just leave it like that.
Lack of better judgment.
Yes, and probably not to the extent where it's become that, but many have, and that's just lack of better judgment. And the opportunity to not be severely penalized, but allowed the chance to recognize and admit and work through what they've done and what that means going forward and how that. Yeah. We need to offer those opportunities. That's good.
And the big thing with us, they have to admit that they've done it before we accept the case. So they know coming into it that I have done this. So they know they've done something that they shouldn't have done. And
so somebody who isn't at that stage yet wouldn't even be considered then to come if they have not yet said,
That's right.
No, I'm not, I didn't do that.
Yeah. Because if they don't admit to their act, it just goes right straight to the courts.
Yeah.
And the courts will deal with them. Mm-hmm. And to that end as well, with the consequences that we do assign the perpetrator, if it's not completed and the case is then referred back to the site, to the courts.
Well, and I know that's be hard to pinpoint, but on average, how long does it take? And every case is individualistic.
Yeah, it is, very much so.
But roughly, how long would it take for the process for you to go through? By the time you've got the referral, have made the decision, and start, how many sessions would you do with an individual case?
I think as soon as we get the referral, this committee's been really good about setting up right away of hearing what's happened. And from that night they leave, they know exactly what they've got was given, and it starts from there.
Yep.
And then it can be how long?
It can go anywhere from months to like a year, usually, depending on what they have done.
Yes,
of course.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so let's say it goes for 6 months. How many times might you connect with the individual?
Us ourselves.
As a committee.
As a committee, I would What would
I
you
think more,
Lawrence?
more or less we stand in the background and monitor.
Yeah. 'Cause-
Okay.
Yep, and see how they flow through, because we're making them accountable for their action.
Yeah.
I
and,
see.
and living through to
Okay.
that, to
So
that point.
once you've established, yes, we feel this person's eligible.
Yep.
Once you've met with them and gone through the process, and the process has started, then it's, as you said, you're there. You stand back and wait, and are watching to see that compliance is done.
Yep.
Is there a follow-up a scenario that you sit down? How did it go, or when the decision is made, when it's all done and completed?
We've never had a follow-up one. Haven't had to have one.
No.
So that's, something that we've never had to
So
look
once
at.
they comply and do everything, you just sign off. And
That's maybe something that we can discuss in committee.
Yeah.
To maybe see, thinking outside the box sort of thing, to bring more awareness and more meaning and more application to what we do here within the community. And we do value those type of initiatives.
have you ever had anybody on the committee who has gone through the process?
Not that I know of.
No, not of the
Okay.
it's, like our committee is business people, farmers,
Yeah.
law enforcement. We've got a fairly well representation.
And there's usually somebody from a council too
Yep,
that's on the
and
on the
from
committee
council, yeah, and so we've got a fairly reasonable look of the community represented in
Yeah.
committee, and so it works very well that way.
That's good. Now you've both been on it for a long period of time. How do people become part of the committee? Is it do you take a look and have your own selection process, or do people volunteer, or how does that work?
Well, essentially, there's two ways to get involved on the committee. You can be invited to come into the community, into the committee, and that's usually done at the time of our annual general meeting, AGM. And you are accepted onto committee by virtue of 2/3 majority vote. Or you can come in again outside of AGM through much the same process. You make application to the
okay.
committee to join, and as long as there's a 2/3 through a vetting process, you end up with a 2/3 majority. Members can become involved in the committee.
Okay.
And we always value, people who are community-minded to be looking at the Spruce Plains Committee to come on and be active.
So it's called the Spruce Plains
Justice Committee.
Justice Committee.
Yep.
And is there a website?
We do not have a website. You can
Who's the contact?
Well, you can contact me if you like, but you can also go through the town. They have
of
our
course.
information.
Yes, they would.
And or the John Howard Society in Brandon. But like for purposes of identity protection, we don't like to put a lot of stuff out there. But definitely there is means and ways of contacting us.
No, I understand, because the element of confidentiality is very important in this process.
Yes.
For,
Yes,
for
it is.
all parties,
Yep. Yep.
for the perpetrator or the offender, for the victim, for the committee itself.
Yeah. The committee itself, all members have to sign off on an oath of confidentiality. So if we
Yes.
hear a case, what you hear in the room stays in the room.
And that's essential.
Yeah.
You couldn't with integrity carry forward if
No.
you didn't have
No.
that kind of expectation. What else? Experiences. Clearly, you're both invested in this committee. That's quite definite. Why would somebody? What would you look for in somebody who's approaching or wishes to be considered to sit on the committee?
That's a good question. I mean,
That is.
integrity is a big thing.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the big thing of all of it. And usually it's somebody in the communities anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And,
So
and maybe who's got a certain skill set
yes,
that would be an enhanced presence at committee level, that maybe knows a little bit more about any given areas or whatever. And if we have a case that comes before us that fits that skill set, they're in a better position to help
Understood?
Yeah,
Yes.
put justice
Because
in
you
place.
will, with a committee that size, and you're talking about different kinds of occupations and things, people come with different
Oh,
skill
absolutely.
sets. And look at, it's important that there's a variety of lenses that people look at
Yes.
this.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that you may look at it with your lens and but then somebody else brings something else through their lens that, oh, hadn't thought of that. That's a very important piece,
Very
because
important.
this is pretty, when you take a look at the responsibility that is on the shoulders of this committee, because you're talking about what may influence an individual's life going forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's quite something.
And I've seen in my time through my career that some people that has gone into the committee has come out to be police officers.
Isn't that interesting?
So it's, you hit the nail on the head, and it you think that you look back and say, maybe we were an influence that did help in this case, and it just happened to be a police officer you wanted to be, but it could have been anything, right?
Yes.
And we had, like say, a variety of different members that's done different things in life that, somebody said they want to be a carpenter or anything like that, they pick up and go. But I think the committee has a good influence and good round feeling of different things that they've done.
Absolutely.
That helps onto the people.
And you're talking, and the longevity of the committee, clearly it's one of those not well known and sort of there in the background, and it does its thing. But that's probably one of the reasons it's so effective.
Well, there's a couple of weeks back, there was a proclamation that came through the town council, and the mayor made a proclamation about Alternative Justice Week. And we wanted to be part and parcel of that and get that out to the community to become a little more aware of the committee, its work within the community, and the importance of it. So it's, it's subtle, it's in the background, you're right, but it's essential.
Well, it is, and we also have to dispel any myths that this is just the slap in the wrist kind of a process. The point at which people engage or are referred to engage, and when you involve, it's an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's an opportunity to effectively create change within the person.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing we want to bring about, for the most part. And I think what the system, what the process offers for particularly for the offender, is coming through the process, and at the end of it, not having to walk away with a criminal record. And that is probably the biggest thing that kind of comes through all of this. And maybe they've learned something in the past, or through going through this process or whatever. But particularly with young people, what we try to put in place with them is, don't be scared to make mistakes, but don't make the same one twice. So that being said, if we get them back onto a pathway in life that will lead them, as Mark illustrated it, to a productive and full member of society, that's all we want to accomplish. Excellent.
Well, we're coming close to the end of our time, gentlemen. I really have to thank you both for coming here. You've certainly enlightened me, and I know you have the audience. A little known, but clearly impactful organization. Is there anything you'd like to add before we say farewell?
I just think that the community is great for everybody around the community too. I always had the philosophy of saying that dig a little bit deeper, you're going to find the right root that's going to grow up to come out at a better spot.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you both, Loren Huck and Mark Morehouse, members of the Spruce Plains Justice Committee.
Yes.
And thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. Thank you very much, audience, for watching. If you have any questions or anything like that, please don't hesitate to call the station. We'll forward them to the appropriate contacts within the committee. And have a great day, and let's hope for some snow before Christmas. Bye now.